Okay. I need to move this, move this here, and then I have that there, so I can see that. And let's see here. Let's see here. YouTube. That's what I do to push YouTube. Da-da-da-da. Hello. Um. Hello, Des. Hello. I need to broop, 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 broop. And I need to announce that I'm live. Doot. Good. We're gonna get this done with. And then. Oh, not open. Copy. Copy link. Okay. Cheese. Yeah, cheese. Alright. Alright. There we go. Oh, thank you for the coins, mechanic. Appreciate it. It was roses. It showed, coins on my side for a second. Thank you for the roses. Alright. We're reading this again. We're reading this book again. I'm gonna rah. Hello, Mars. You've made it for reading time. You made it for reading time, Mars. Move this right here. Okay. I don't know how long I'll be streaming for, today. I can't stay long. I'm messing with the boyfriend and I'm messaging with the boyfriend while I watch a movie. Then, okay. I'm happy you stopped by, Mars. But, I don't know how long I'm gonna stream because I might have to go out and do something. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see about it. We'll see. Okay. I was thinking about reading another book, but, for now, we're just gonna read this book because we need to get this book done. I gotta make my presence clear. I'm happy to hear that, Mars. I'm happy to hear that. Okay. My voice is all weird. Hope I'm not getting sick. Okay. Oswald's insides turned. By the way, he realized he was at Freddy Fazbear's Pizza after going into the pit. Oswald realized that he is in Freddy Fazbear Pizza. So, Oswald's insides turned to ice water. How had this happened? He knew where he was, but he didn't know when or how he got there. Somebody bumped into him, and he jumped more than was normal. Since he felt the physical contact, this must not be a dream. He couldn't decide if it was fact or good news or not. Sorry, dude, the kid said. He was about Oswald's age, and he was wearing a light yellow polo with a collar turned up, tucked into what looked like a pair of dad jeans. The white tennis shoes that he had. Is this Arthur? Is this Arthur? White tennis shoes he had on were huge, like clown shoes. He looked as if he had spent a long time fixing his hair. Are you okay? Yeah, sure, Oswald said. Small puppy Okay, I can't read all that. Don't know what reading. We are reading, we're reading, the FNAF book, Into the Pit. Opinions on Rain World? Rain World? I do not know. Mars zones out and now doesn't know what's going on. It's okay, we just found Arthur. Are you okay? Yeah, sure, Oswald said. He wasn't sure if he was okay actually, but he didn't know how to begin to explain his situation. I've not seen you here before, the kid said. Yeah, Oswald said, trying to figure out an explanation that wouldn't sound too weird. I'm just visiting here, staying with my grandma for a few weeks. This place is great though. All these old games. Old games, the kid said, raising an eyebrow. You're joking, right? I don't know about where you're from, but Freddy's has the newest games around here. That's why the lines to play them are so long. Oh yeah. I was just kidding, Oswald said, because he couldn't think of anything else to say. He had heard his dad talking about games a lot of these games when he was a kid. Absurd, ab, absurdly, absurd, absurd, absurdly hard games, he said, on which he had wasted many hours and many quarters. Oh, I'm not gonna do a drink. I'm gonna get a drink. We got a drink. Okay. I'm Chip, the kid said, running his fingers through his poofy hair. Me and my buddy Mike, he said, as a tall kid wearing huge eyeglasses and a shirt with wide, red, and red stripes. We're about to play some skee ball. Want to join with us? Sure, Oswald said. Water noises, yeah. It was nice to hang out with some other kids, even if they seemed to be kids from another time. He didn't think this was a dream, but it sure was. But it was sure was a weird one. You got a name? Mike said, looking at Oswald like he had some kind of strange, like he was some kind of strange specimen. Oh sure, I'm Oswald. He said he's been to. Is this a reading FNAF book stream? Yeah, it is. Victory with ice? Yes. Oh, Victor. Sorry. Victor with ice. Yeah, it is. I do actually need to add, like, I need a, because people keep asking me what the book is. So I'm gonna add a text saying what book it is. Into the page. No. And then we're going to get this one, and we're going to make it the color, this one. There we go. Perfect. Perfect. No, you were right the first time. Victory with ice? Okay. Okay. That's good to know. Happy I was right the first time. Where was I? Got a name, Mike said, looking on. Oh, sure, I'm Oswald, he said, been too weirded out to remember introducing himself. Mike gave a friendly slap on the back. Well, I've got to warn you, Oswald. I'm a beast at skee-ball. A beast. But I'll go easy on you since you're new here. Thanks for having mercy on me, Oswald said. He felt it's secretly his dad. Oh my gosh. I don't know. I've never read this book. Lulu, I'm listening to you read at the bar. You're always at the bar. He followed them to the skee ball area. On the way, they passed somebody in a rabbit suit that looked like a yellow version of the animatronic rabbit in the stage. Nobody else seemed to be paying attention to the rabbit guy, so Oswald didn't say anything. It was probably a Freddy Fazbear's employee dressed up in a certain and to up to to up to A Freddy Fazbear employee dressed up to entertain the little kids at the birthday party. Mike wasn't kidding about being a beast at skee-ball. He easily beat Chip and Oswald 3 times, but he was a good sport, and they spent the whole time joking around. It was good being included. But after another couple games, Oswald started to worry. What time was it really? How long has his dad been looking for him? And how was he going to get back to his real life? Sure, he didn't. He would want to give Dad a little scare, but he didn't want to scare the old man so much he got the police involved. I have. Little bro is alive. Hello, I'm alive. I'm alive and live. Hey guys. I. Hey guys, I'd better run, Oswald said. My grandma, he almost said, just texted me, but realized Chip and Mike would have no idea what he was talking about, whether this was. There was no cell phones. My grandma's supposed to pick me up in a few minutes. Oh, okay, dude. Well, maybe we'll catch you later, Chip said, and Mike gave a little nod and wave. Oswald left his companion, stood in the corner in his sock feet, and wondered what to do. He was having some kind of magical experience. He was late getting back, and he was missing his shoes. That's all. That's all. He's just missing his shoes. Not his dad, not his mom, just his shoes. He was like some kind of mixed up guy, Cinderella. How to get back? He could have walked out. Ooh, gosh. He could have walked out the front door of Freddy Fazbear's, but where would that take him? It might be the right place to find his dad's car waiting, but it wasn't the right time, not the right decade even. Then it dawned on him. Maybe the way was the same way he got in, at the ball pit. A mom was telling her 2 kids it was time to leave. They tried to argue with her, but she turned on her stern mom voice and threatened them with an early bedtime. Once they got out, he got in. Can I have your bow in Minecraft? No. Where was I? He sank beneath the surface before anybody could see a kid over the height limit in the ball pit. How long did he have to stay under? Randomly, he decided to count 100, then stand. He rose to his feet and found himself in the dusty, roped-off ball pit at Jeff's Pizza. He climbed out and found his shoes right where he left them. His phone vibrated in his pocket. He looked out and read, "Will they be there in 2 minutes?" Had no time passed at all? He headed out the door and Jeff called, "See ya, kid," behind him. "This looks great, Mom," Oswald said, sparing a sausage link with his fork. "You're in a good mood today," Mom said, with a waffle into his plate. "Quite a contrast from yesterday when you were Mr. Grumpy Pants." "Yeah," Oswald said. They're supposed to get my book in the library today. This statement was true, but it wasn't the reason Oswald was in the good mood. Of course, it wasn't like he could tell her the real reason. If he said, "I'd discover a ball pit at Jeff's Pizza that would let me travel in time, Mom would be dropping waffles and picking up the phone to call the nearest child psychologist. Whew. I think I should submit this to a reading thing. I think that'll be great. Oswald picked up his book at the library, but was too impatient to read it. He headed over to Jeff's Pizza as soon as it opened at 11. Jeff was in the kitchen when he got there, so he made a beeline for the pit. He shook off his shoes and stepped in and sank into the depths. Since it had seemed to work before, he counted 100 before he stood. The animatronic band was playing some weird jingly song that was partially drowned out by the beeping, blipping, and the dinging of I know how to say this. I know how to say this word. Virarity. Multiple. Verity. Verity of Mole, the neon light tokens suckers had let you win. Had let you win some. Oh my gosh, I totally. What? Variety of games. He wandered to the floor looking at the video games and the whack-a-mole and the neon token suckers and the let you win some tickets, but probably not. If you pushed the button at the right time, older kids crowded around the video game. Preschoolers climbed on the crown-colored play equipment. Pink eye, Oswald thought. Though he had no room to talk. The way he was diving in the ball pit these days. Everything looked as if it had before. He had even caught a sight of a calendar hanging in the open office that helped him pinpoint the date, 1985. Rarity. So hype for the pit. Thanks for reading it, yeah. I said, hey, might as well read it. Hey Oswald, Chip was wearing a baby blue polo with his dad jeans and giant sneakers this time. Not a hair on his head was out of place. Hey Oz, Mike said. He was wearing a Back to the Future t-shirt. Everybody ever call you that? Like the Wizard of Oz? They do now, Oz said, grinning. He had gone from having the loneliest summer ever to having 2 new friends and a nickname. True, all these seemed to be happening in the mid-1980s, but why get hung up on the details? Hey, Chip. Hey, Chip said. We just ordered a pizza. You want to come and have some? We ordered a large, so there's more than we can eat. Two boys around the same age as Oz? That would be more than enough. Speak for yourself, Mike said as he was grinning. Okay, Chip said. How about I say more than we should eat? Want to join us? Oswald was curious of how Freddy Fazbear Pizza compared with Jeff's. Sure, thanks. On the way to the table, they passed someone in the same yellow rabbit suit who was standing in the corner, still statue. Chip and Mike either hadn't seen him or ignored him, so Oswald tried to ignore him as well. Why hide in the corner like that, though? If he had worked for the restaurant, surely he wasn't supposed to act all creepy. Correct. At the table, a young woman with big blonde hair and blue eyeshadow served them large pizza with a pitcher of soda. In the background, the animatronic band played on. The pizza was pepperoni and sausage with a crispy crust. A nice change from the plain cheese pizza slices. Water time. Spooky Soup, thank you for the follow. Water. It's the water bottle. It's so loud. So loud. When I first brought this water bottle to work, I was so embarrassed by it because of how loud it is. Okay then. Where was I? Okay. Sorry, something came up. And a picture of soda in the background. Okay, In the background, the animatronic band played on. The pizza was pepperoni and sausage with a crispy crust and a nice change from plain cheese slices. You know, Mike said between bites. When I was little, I loved Freddy Fazbear's Band. I even had a stuffed Freddy I used to sleep with. Now I look up at the stage and those things give me the creeps. It's weird, huh? How stuff you like when you're little gets creepy when you're older. Chip helps himself to another slice. Like clowns, yeah. Or like dolls, Mike says between bites. Sometimes I look at my sister's dolls all lined up on the shelf in her room, and it's like they're all staring at me. Or like that guy in the yellow rabbit costume, Oswald thought. He didn't say anything. After they demolished the pizza, they played some skee ball. Mike mopped the floor with mopping the floor with them again, but being really nice about it. Oswald didn't worry about time anymore because apparently time here didn't pass the same in his own zone, in his own time zone. After skee ball, they took turns playing air hockey in pairs. Oswald was so surprisingly decent at it and even managed to beat Mike once. Animation Warehouse, thank you for the follow. Then they started to low on tokens. Oswald thanked them for sharing their wealth. Said he hoped to see them again soon. After they said their goodbyes, Oswald waited until no one was looking and disappeared into the ball pit. That's the name. That's the name of the book. Hanging out with Chip and Mike turned into a regular thing. Today they weren't even playing games. They were just sitting in a booth, drinking sodas and talking, trying to ignore the animatronic animals' annoying music as they could. You know what movie I liked? Chip said. His polo shirt was peached color today. Oswald loved the guy, but really, didn't he own one shirt that wasn't the color of an Easter color? The Eternal Song? Seriously, Mike said, pushing his huge glasses on his nose. That movie was so boring. I like the Eternal Song. I was like, the Eternal Song is like the perfect title for the movie because I don't think it is ever going to end. They laugh, and then Chip said, "What did you think of it, Oz?" "I haven't seen that one," Oswald said. He said that with a lot when hanging out with Chip and Mike. Oswald always listened to them talk about movies and shows they liked, and when they mentioned one he didn't know, he looked it up online when he got home. He made a list of 80s movies he wanted to watch and checked the TV listings on the DVR to see when any of them might be showing. Oswald participated in Chip's and Mike's conversation as much as he could. It was kind of like being a foreign exchange student. He sometimes had to fake his way through and smile and nod, being genuinely acceptable. "Man, you need to get out more," Mike said. "Maybe you can go to the movies with Chip and me sometimes." "That would be cool," Oswald said. Because what else could he say? Actually, I'm from the distant future and I don't think it's physically possible for me to see you anyplace but in the Freddy Fazbear in 1985. But both think that was a joke on Mike because his favorite movie was Back in the Future. "Name one movie you've seen that you really liked," Chip said. "Oswald, I'm trying to figure out what your taste is." Oswald's mind went blank. What was a movie from the 80s? E.T.? E.T.? Mike slapped the table, laughing. E.T. was like 3 years ago. You do need to go. You do need to go out more. Do they not have movie theaters where you're from? They do, Oswald thought, and they had Netflix and PlayStation and YouTube and social media. Oh my gosh. But he didn't say it. Of course there was technology Chip and Mike talked about that he had only the vaguest knowledge of, like VCRs and boomboxes and cassette tapes, Walkmans and everything else. He constantly had to remind himself not to talk about things like cell phones and tablets and internet. He tried not to wear t-shirts with characters and references that might confuse them or other customers at 1985 Freddy Fazbear. Yeah, we definitely need to bring you up to date, Chip said. If only if only you knew, Oswald thought. Hey, do you want to go play some games, Mike said. I feel like the skee ball is calling me, but I promise I'll go easy on you guys. Chip laughed. No, you won't. You'll murder us. You guys go ahead, Oswald thought. I think I'm just gonna stay at the table. What? And watch the show? Show, Mike said, and nodded in the direction of the creepy characters on stage. Is something wrong? If you suddenly decide you do, if you suddenly decide you like Freddy, Freddy, Freddy Fazbear's music, we need to go. We need to get you help fast. No, nothing wrong, Oswald said, but really something was. For his first visit to the 1985 Freddy Fazbear's, it hadn't been occurring to him that he was basically mooching off Chip and Mike's generosity because he never had any money of his own. And if he wasn't broke in his own time zone, would the money he brought from the present day even work in 1985? It was kind of pitiful, being broke in 2 decades. Finally, he said, I feel like I'm always taking your money because I never have any. Hey, dude, it's cool. We haven't noticed. Yeah, Mike said. We just figured your grandma never gave you any money. I know my grandma doesn't except when it's my birthday. They were being really nice, but Oswald felt embarrassed. If they had talked about his lack of money, they might have noticed it. How about I just go and... What is that? How about I just go out and hang with you a while while you play, Oswald said. When he stood up, he felt a strange heaviness in his pocket. Something in there was heavy, and he felt like his dreams might fall off. He reached in his pocket and pulled out a handful of 1985's Freddy game tokens. He produced handful after handful and dumped them on the table. Or we could all play using these, he said. He had no idea how to explain the magic that just occurred. I guess I forgot I was wearing these pants. The ones that had all the tokens in them. Chip and Mike looked a little confused, but then they grinned and started racking the coins from the table into their empty soda cups. Oswald did the same. He decided to go with the weirdness. He didn't know what the tokens got there, but then again, he didn't really know how he got there either. Oh gosh. How long is this book? Let's see here. Into the Pit. Book. Okay. So there is 3 different stories in this. Okay. Also, before we continue, I am going to look at Steelwool's Twitter because they're supposed to make an announcement. And I haven't checked yet. To see the future, sometimes you need to understand the past. Brand new original Nightmare in the Five Nights at Freddy's universe. Oh, it's the box. Or is it a Jack in the Box? Oh, it's a Jack in the Box. Oh gosh, I wish I pulled it up on stream instead. Secret of the Mimic. Isn't that a book? Or wait, I guess the Mimic. Huh. Secret of the Mimic. Guess what time it is? Water time. Woo, water time. Okay. In the morning, Drad. In the morning, as Dad was driving him to the library, Oswald asked, How old were you in 1985? I was a couple years older than you, he said, and other than baseball, I could think about how many quarters I had to spend at the arcade. Why do you ask? No reason in particular. Oswald said, I've just been doing some research in Just Pizza back in the day, back before it was Just Pizza. It was some kind of arcade, wasn't it? Yeah, it was. Dad's voice sounded strange, nervous maybe. He was quiet for a few seconds and then said, "But it's closed." "Like everything else in this town," Oswald said. "Pretty much, yeah," Dad said, pulling up in the front of the library. Maybe it was Oswald's imagination, but it seemed like Dad was relieved to get their destination, so he wouldn't have to answer any more questions. At 11 o'clock sharp, Oswald headed over to Jeff's Pizza, as had become his habit. With Jeff nowhere in sight, Oswald proceeded into the pit. After his which Jeff was, it became his habit. With Jeff and nowhere in sight, Jeff is the killer! Jeff is the killer! Proceeded to the pit. After his count to 100, he stood. There were noises, but not the usual ones of Freddy Fazbear's screams, crying children, yells for help, the fast footballs of people running, chaos. Where Chip and Mike here? Were they okay? Was everybody here okay? He was afraid. Part of him wanted to disappear back into the pit, but he was worried about his friends. Also, he was burning with curiosity about what was going on. Even though he knew whatever it was horrible. He wasn't in danger, he told himself, because it was the past, a time way before he was born. Life couldn't be in danger in a time before he existed, could it? His stomach in knots. He moved through the crowd, crying, past crying mothers, running with their toddlers in their arms, past dads grasping children's hands and leading them swiftly to the exit, their face mask of shock. "Chip, Mike," he called, but his friends were nowhere to be seen. Maybe they had come to Freddy Fazbear's today. Maybe they were safe. Scared, but feeling as if he hadn't known what was happening, Oswald walked into the opposite direction. Everyone else was escalating to feeling of dread. In front of him, he stood the man in the yellow bunny costume, if it was a man under there. The bunny opened a door that said private and went inside. Oswald followed. The corridor was long and dark. The rabbit looked at him with blank eyes and unchanging grin, then walked further down the hall. Oswald wasn't chasing the rabbit. He was letting the rabbit lead him, as if he were in a terrifying version of Alice in Wonderland going down the rabbit hole. The rabbit stopped in front of a door that's a sign reading a party room and beckoned Oswald to come inside. Oswald was shaking with horror, but he was too curious to refuse. Besides, he kept thinking to himself, "You can't hurt me. I haven't even been born." Once inside the room, it took Oswald a few seconds to register that he was actually seeing, for a few seconds for his brain to process it. There, they were lined up against the wall, which was the paintings of an image of a place's mascots: the grinning bear, the blue bunny, and the bird girl. Always the bird girl. Half a dozen kids, none of them older than Oswald, though lifeless bodies, dropped in a sitting position, their legs stretched out in front of them, some of them in their eyes closed as if asleep. Other eyes were open, frozen in empty, doll-like stare. They were all wearing Freddy Fazbear's birthday party hats. Oswald couldn't tell how they had died, but he knew that the rabbit was responsible for it, and that the rabbit wanted him to see his handiwork. "Ooh, guys, I think the rabbit killed him. I think the rabbit killed him." I bet the rabbit killed him. Maybe the rabbit wanted Oswald to be his next victim, to join the others lined up against the wall with their unseeing eyes. Oswald screamed. The yellow rabbit lunged for him, and he ran out the room and down the black corridor. Maybe the rabbit could hurt him. Maybe he couldn't. Oswald didn't want to hang around long enough to find out. He ran across the now empty arcade towards the ball pit. Outside, the police siren screams matched Oswald's own. The rabbit ran after him, getting so close that a fuzzy paw brushed Oswald's back. Oswald drove into the pit and counted to 1 to 100 as fast as he could. As he stood, first thing he heard was Jeff's voice. "There's the little stinker." Oswald turned to see his dad stomping towards him while Jeff looked on. Dad looked furious, and Jeff didn't look happy either. Not that he ever did. Oswald stood frozen, too overwhelmed to move. His dad grabbed his arm and pulled him out of the pit. Where were you thinking hiding in that nasty old thing?" Oswald said. "Didn't you hear me calling for you?" After Oswald was out, his dad leaned over the pit. "Look how dirty this is. Your mother—" A pair of yellow arms reached out the pit, pulled Dad under. The struggle would have been cartoonish if it hadn't been so terrifying. Dad's feet and his brown work boots kicked up to the surface only to disappear below. Then a pair of fuzzy yellow feet appeared and only to disappear too. The balls in the pit roiled with a stormy sea, and then they were still. The yellow rabbit rose from the pit and adjusted his yellow-purple tie, brushed off his front, and turned towards Oswald, grinning. Oswald backed away, but the rabbit was beside him. It was arm firm around Oswald's servo, guiding him towards the exit. Oswald looked at Jeff, who stood behind the counter. Maybe Jeff would help him, but Jeff wore the same hangdog expression he always wore, and just said, See you later, guys." How could Jeff how could anyone act like this situation was normal? Once the rabbit got him outside, it opened the passenger door of Dad's car and pushed Oswald inside. Oswald watched as the bunny buckled his seatbelt and started the car. He turned to open the door, but the bunny had activated the power lock from the driver's side. The bunny's mouth was frozen in a rictus grin. Its eyes stared blankly, and Oswald pushed the unlock button again, even though he knew it wouldn't work. "Wait," Oswald said. "Can you do any of this? Can you even drive a car?" The bunny had said nothing, but started the car and pulled into the street. It stopped at a red light, so Oswald figured it must be able to see and must know the basic rules of driving. "What did you do to my dad? Where are you taking me?" Oswald could hear the panic in his voice. He wanted to sound strong and brave, like he was standing up for himself, but instead he sounded scared and confused, which he was. The bunny said nothing. The car made a familiar right turn, then a familiar left into Oswald's neighborhood. "How do you even know where I live?" Oswald demanded. Still and silent, the bunny turned into the driveway in front of Oswald's ranch-style house. "I'll run for it," Oswald thought. "As soon as this thing unlocks the car, I'll run into the neighbor's house and call the police. Once I'm safely inside." The locks clicked and Oswald jumped out the car. Somehow the bunny was standing right in front of him. It grabbed his arm. He tried to break free, but his grip was too strong. The bunny dragged Oswald to the front door and then yanked off the chain off Oswald's neck that held. Oh gosh. Held his house key. The rabbit turned the key into the door and shoved Oswald inside. Then it stood in front of the door, blocking the exit. Jinx the cat wandered into the living room, took one look at the rabbit, arched her back, puffed out her tail, and hissed like a cat on a Halloween decoration. Oswald had never seen her act scared or unfriendly before, and he wanted to watch as she turned tail and fled down the hall. If Jinx knew this situation was bad, it must be really bad. "You can't do this," Oswald said to the rabbit in tears. He didn't want to cry. He wanted to look strong, but he couldn't. He couldn't help it. This is kidnapping or something. My mom will be home soon, and she'll call the police. It was a total bluff. Of course, Mom wouldn't be home until after midnight. Would he even be alive by the time Mom got home? Was his dad even alive now? He knew the bunny would grab him if he tried to make a run for the back door. Car. I'm going to my mom. I'm going to my room now, okay? I'm not trying to escape. I'm just going to my room. He backed away and the bunny let him. As soon as he got inside his room, he slammed the door and locked it. He took a deep breaths and tried to think. There was a window in his room, but it was high and too small to climb through. Under his bed, Jinx let out a low growl. Could hear the bunny outside the door. If he had made a phone call, it would hear him. But maybe he could send a text. He looked at his phone and started shaking hands, texted Mom. Mom, emergency. Something's wrong with Dad. Come home now. Oswald knew, even as he texted, that she wasn't coming home now, because she was always dealing with medical emergencies at work. Sometimes it took her a long time just to check her phone. It was Dad who Oswald was supposed to contact in event of an emergency, but Oswald obviously wasn't going to work now. A miserable hour passed until Oswald's phone vibrated. Afraid the rabbit might still be listening outside the locked door, he picked up without saying hello. Mom said, Oswald, what's going on? Mom said, terrified. Do I need to call 911? I can't talk now, Oswald whispered. I'm on my way home, okay? She hung up. 15 minutes seemed to pass more slowly than Oswald thought was possible. There was a knock on Oswald's door. Oswald jumped, his heart in his throat. Who is it? It's me, Mom said, sounding aspirated. Open the door. He opened the door just a crack to make sure it was really her. Once he let her in, he closed and locked the door behind him. Oswald, you need to tell me what's going on. Mom's brow was forward. You're allowed. Frowned. Not frowned, but you know, with worry. Oh, goodness. Where to start? How to explain sounded crazy. It's Dad. He's not okay. I'm not even sure where he is. Mom put her hands on both of his shoulders. Oswald, I just saw your dad. He's lying on the bed in our bedroom watching TV. He made you a little chicken pot pie for dinner. It's sitting on the stove. What? I'm not hungry. He tried to wrap his mind around his mom's words. You saw Dad? Mom nodded. She was looking at him like he was one of her patients instead of her kid. Like she was trying to figure out what was wrong with him. And he's okay. Mama nodded again. He's okay, but I'm worried about you. She put her hand on his forehead and then checked for a fever. I'm okay, Oswald said. I mean, if Dad's okay, I'm okay. He's just didn't seem okay. Hello, Z. It's Zane! Maybe it's a good school starting back up. I think you're spending too much time by yourself. What could he say? Actually, I've been spending time with my new friends in 1985? Maybe so. I probably should just go to bed. I have an early start in the morning. I think that's a good idea, Mom said, putting her hand on his cheek and looked him directly in the eye. And listen, you're gonna text me at work and make sure it's a real emergency. You scared me. I thought it was a real emergency. I'm sorry. It's alright, honey. Get some rest, okay? Okay. After Mom left, Oswald looked under the bed. Jinx was still in there, crouched in a ball like she was trying to make herself as small and invisible as possible. Her eyes wide, looking terrified. It's okay, Jinxie, Oswald said, reaching under the bed and wriggling his fingers at her. Mom said it's safe. You can come out now. The cat wouldn't budge. Water time. Woo, water time. Hello, Nathan. Welcome back. You missed a little bit. We read a couple pages. Oswald lay Oswald lays in his bed. If Mom and Dad were there and okay, then it must be true. Why would she lie? But Oswald knew what he had seen. He had seen that yellow thing. If he had started to think of it, drag his dad into the pit, he had seen the yellow thing climb out the pit. He had felt his grip on his arm, sat beside him in the car, and just drove him home. I was eating dinner. What time did you start? About 45 minutes ago. A little bit ago. We got a couple pages in. I think there's 14 pages left. Let me read to the end of this. Wait, I did. Never mind. 1, 2, 3. Oh my god, that's our book. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. We have 11. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So, basically, what happened was, I'll catch you up. Oswald, went back in time over and over and over again with his newfound friends, Chip and Mike. Had a great dandy time, and then he just went back in time again this day. And, the whole place was screaming. Everyone was like, ah, ah, ah. And, Bunny Boy, brought Oswald to, like, the back room, party room, and, like, presented the 6 dead bodies lined up along the wall and said, look at my dead bodies. Yeah, that's fun. That is up to date. Drove him home. Or had he? If mom said dad was home and okay, he must be. Oswald trusted his mom, and if dad was okay, it meant Oswald hasn't seen what he thought, or what he saw. It must mean Oswald was losing his mind. After a few hours of fitful sleep, Oswald woke up to the aroma of frying ham and bacon biscuits. His stomach rumbled, reminding him he had missed dinner last night. And I have missed dinner too. I'll eat later. I do need to eat though. Everything felt normal. Maybe he should just treat yesterday like a bad dream, try and move forward, a new school year, a new beginning. He stopped in the bathroom and then made his way to the kitchen. Feeling better, Mom asked. There she was, her hair in a ponytail, wearing her pink fuzzy bathrobe, fixing the breakfast like she always does. Something about the fact that made Oswald tremendously relieved. Yeah, he said. I'm pretty hungry, actually. Yeah, now that's a problem I can fix, Mom said. She set down a plate with 2 ham biscuits on it and poured him a glass of orange juice. Oswald ate the first ham biscuit in 3 big bites. The yellow thing walked in and sat across him at the breakfast table. Mom? Oswald's heart beat like a jackhammer in his chest. The ham biscuit sat heavy in his churning stomach. What is it, hun? Her back was turned as she fiddled with the coffee maker. Where's Dad? She turned around, the coffee pot in her hand. Oswald, your dad is sitting right across from you. If this is some of your elaborate pranks, you can cut it out right now, because it has officially stopped being funny. She poured a cup of coffee and sat down in front of the yellow thing, which stared straight ahead, its mouth set in an unchanged grin. Oswald knew he wasn't getting anywhere. Either he was insane or his mom was. Okay, I understand. I'll cut it out. I apologize. May I be excused so I can get ready for school? Of course, Mom said. She was looking at him kind of funny again. Oswald stopped in the bathroom to brush his teeth and then went to his room to get his backpack. He peeked under his bed to find Jinx still hiding there. Well, it's good to know there's somebody else in this family who had some sense. When Oswald came back into the kitchen, the other thing was standing in the door, car keys in paw. Is it, Dad? Is, Dad taking me to school? Oswald asked. He didn't know if he could bear sitting besides it in the car again, hoping it was watching the road as it stared through the window shield with its empty eyes. Doesn't he always? Mom said. He could hear the worry in her voice. Have a good day, okay? Seeing no choice, Oswald got in the car besides the yellow thing. Once again, it was locked. It locked all the doors from the driver's side. It backed out of the driveway and past a jogging neighbor. He waved at it as just like, yeah, Dad. I don't understand, Oswald said on the edge of tears. Are you real? Is this real, or am I going crazy? The yellow thing said nothing, just stared at the road ahead. When it pulled up from the West Brook Middle School, the cross guard and the kids on the crosswalk didn't seem to notice that the car was being driven by a giant yellow rabbit. Hey, Oswald said before he got out of the car, don't bother picking me up after this noon. I'll just catch a bus. The school bus was a big yellow thing he could handle. Besides, some kind of cosmic law, the first person Oswald saw in the hall was Dylan, his tormentor. Well, then Oswald, get it a rest, Dylan, Oswald said, passing him. I had bigger problems than you today. It was impossible to concentrate in class. Usually Oswald was a pretty decent student, but how could he focus with his life and possibility, What's going on? Possibility, his sanity falling apart. Maybe he could talk to someone, the school counselor or the school officer, but he knew anything that came out of his mouth would sound dangerously crazy. How could he convince a police officer that his dad is missing and everyone looked at this yellow thing saw Oswald's dad? There was no one to help him. Oswald was going to have to figure out how to solve his problem himself. At recess, he sat at the bench by the Crazy Frog fire. We're gonna ignore it. Possibly was a hard word. There's no one to help him. Oswald was going to have to figure out how to solve the problem himself. Ah. Yeah, you're good, don't worry. At recess, he sat at the bench by the playground, grateful that he didn't have to pretend to listen to a teacher and could think for himself. He couldn't imagine how life could get any weirder. The yellow thing seemed to think it was his father. That was weird enough. Why did everyone else think it was his father too? Do you mind if I share your bench? It was a girl Oswald had never seen before. She had curly hair and big brown eyes and was holding a thick book. Sure, help yourself, Oswald said. The girl sat on the opposite side of the bench and opened her book. Oswald went back to his confusing thoughts. Have you gone to the school for a long time? The girl asked him after a few minutes. She didn't look over at Oswald then when she talked. She just stared at him. She kept staring at the pages of her book. Oswald wondered if this meant she was shy. Since kindergarten, Oswald said, and then, because he didn't think of a single other thing to say about himself, he asked, What are you reading? Greek mythology. Obviously. What else would he be reading? Into the Pit? No. What's going on? She's Greek mythology, she said. Tales of heroes, you've read much mythology? No, not really, he said, feeling stupid immediately after. He didn't want to give the impression that he was some kind of guy who never read books. In desperation, he added, I love to read, though. And then he felt even stupider. Me too, she said. I probably read this book 100 times. It's a comfort book for me. I read it when I needed to be brave. The word brave stuck a chord in Oswald. Brave was what he needed to be. Why is that? Well, the Greek heroes were super brave. They're always doing battle with some kind of big monster, like the Minotaur or the Hydra. It's kind of puts things in a perspective, you know? No matter how bad my problem is, at least I don't have to do a battle with the monster. Yeah, well, Oswald said. Even though he was trying to figure out how to do battle with a monster, a yellow, long-eared monster, in his own home, he couldn't tell if this girl was about the yellow thing, though. She would think that he was crazy and wouldn't be leaving their shared bents in a hurry. So, you said you read the books when you need to be brave. He was surprised he was about to make a conversation given the way his mind was racing. For some reason, the girl was easy to talk to. I mean, maybe none of my business, but I was wondering why you needed to be brave. She gave a shy little smile. First day at school. Third day in a new town. I don't know anybody yet. Yes, you do, he said. He held out his hand. I'm Oswald. He didn't know why he was offering his hand like he was some kind of businessman, but it felt like the right thing to do. She took his hand and shook it firmly. I'm Gabriella. What, Waffle? What do you want, Waffle? I'm reading. Somehow, this was the conversation Oswald had needed to have. What if I am reading in the shower? It doesn't matter if I am or not. He took the bus. What? Why are you making me do a puzzle? Oh my god. Oh, that was terrible. Oh gosh, I do not like that TikTok just made me do that. You know those like robot like little puzzle things? It just made me do that for TikTok. Oh, that was weird. I don't like that. I'm Gabriella. He took the bus home from school. When he came inside, the yellow thing was vacuuming in the living room. He didn't ask it any more questions. It wasn't as if it would give him any answers anyway. Besides, he was going to make his plan work. He was going to have to act like everything was normal. And as anybody who had seen him in the 4th grade class play knew, acting was not one of his talents. Straight up, Oswald could not act. That's why he's not in Wizard of Oz. Instead, he did what he was supposed to do when life was normal. When his dad was vacuuming the living room, he got the feather duster out the cleaning closet and dusted the coffee table and the end tables and the lamps. He emptied the waste basket and needed to throw pillows on the couch. When he went to the kitchen, he took out the garbage and the recycle. Once he was outside, it was tempting to run, but he knew running was not the answer. If everybody saw the yellow thing as his dad, nobody would help him. The yellow thing would always catch him. He went back inside. His chores done, he walked right past the yellow thing. I'm gonna go chill out a while before dinner, he said, even though it was the possibility of relaxing in any way was unimaginable. He went up to his room and he didn't close the door. Instead, he took off his shoes, sprawled on the bed, and started drawing in his sketchbook. He didn't want to draw a mechanical animal, but they seemed to be all he could draw. He shut his notebook and started reading manga, or at least pretended to. Normal. The plan could only work if he acted like everything was normal. When the rabbit appeared in his doorway, he managed not to gasp. it was beckoning him the same way it was that led him to the murder scene. Murder room, the murder room at Freddy Fazbear's. He followed it into the kitchen. On the table was the grocery store pizza his dad kept in the freezer, baked to a pleasing golden brown. Oh, that's maybe what I should eat. I think I will eat pizza. That's what I think I'm gonna make. 2 glasses of fruit punch of Oswald's legs, and the pizza had already been sliced, which was a relief because Oswald couldn't imagine what it would have done if he seen that old thing with a knife, running, screaming out into the street, probably. Oswald sat on the table, helped himself to a slice of pizza. He didn't feel much like eating, and he knew he couldn't act like anything was wrong. He took a bite of pizza, a sip of punch. "Are you going to eat some, Dad?" he asked. It was hard calling him the thing, Dad, but he managed. The yellow thing sat across from him in silence with an unthinkable stare, frozen grin, and an untouched pizza slice on his plate in front of him, besides an untouched glass of punch. Could it even eat? Oswald wondered. Did it need to? What was it, anyway? At first he thought it was a guy in a suit, but now he wasn't so sure. Was it some kind of highly sophisticated animatronic animal, or was it real, a flesh and blood big bunny? He didn't know what the possibility was the most disturbing, which, with great effort, he finished the pizza slice and the glass of punch, and then said, "Thanks for dinner, Dad. I'm gonna go get a glass of milk and go to my homework now." The yellow thing just sat there. Oswald went to the refrigerator. He checked to make sure the yellow thing wasn't watching and poured some milk into a bowl. A bowl? Once a bowl? Why are you... Oh, I guess for Jinx. But you said a glass of milk. Not for Jinx! Once he was in the room, he didn't close the door and lock it because he wouldn't if it were home with Dad. Normal, so not arouse his suspicion. He slid the bowl of milk under his bed where Jinx was sitting. "It's gonna be okay, girl," he whispered. He hoped he was right. That cat is gonna have so much diarrhea. Under your bed. Bad decisions. Bad decisions. Should have watered it down. He hoped he was right. He sat on the bed and in a few minutes heard Jinx lapping the milk. He knew from the past experience even when terrified, she couldn't turn down dairy products. He made a half-heart attempt to do his homework, but couldn't concentrate. All he could think about was his dad, the yellow thing that dragged Dad into the pit and under the surface. Did this mean his dad was at Freddy Fazbear Sakura in 1985? Wandering around the arcade games he had played as he was a kid? That was the most likely explanation, unless the yellow thing had killed... No. He wouldn't let himself think of that. His dad was alive. He had to be. The only way to know was to go back into the pit. But first, he was gonna have to get out of the house without the yellow thing noticing. Oswald waited until dark. Ooh, until dark. Oh gosh. I need to crack my back. Oh. Give my voice a second to rest. Okay. Weird. That was weird. Okay. Okay. Highlight that so I don't forget where I'm reading. Oh. Ooh. Cracked my elbow. Ooh. Ooh. Okay. So, the Mimic. That's exciting. I will say that I need to test um if a game will work on stream. So we will check that. We will check that, otherwise I will have to stream it on YouTube. Oswald waited until dark, then waited some more. Finally, he grabbed his shoes and tiptoed out of his room into the hall in his sock feet. His sock feet. They're made of socks. The door to his parents' room was open. He sneaked a glance inside as he crept by. The yellow thing was lying on its back on his parents' bed. It appeared to be staring at the ceiling. Or maybe it wasn't staring. Maybe it was asleep. It was hard to tell since its eyes didn't move. Did it even need to sleep? Holding his breath, he passed his parents' room and tiptoed into the kitchen. And if the yellow thing caught him, he could always say he was just getting a drink of water. The kitchen was the best escape route. The door there was less squeaky than the front. He slipped into his shoes from his sock feet, because he's wearing sock feet, and pulled the door open slowly, inch by inch. When it was open, just wide enough, he slipped through and shut it softly behind him. Then he ran. He ran through the neighborhood and past neighbors walking their dogs and kids riding bikes. Some kids looked at Oswald strangely, and he didn't figure out why. People ran in his neighborhood all the time. But then he realized he wasn't running like he was doing it for exercise. He was running like someone was chasing him, and it might be. It was a long way to Jeff's. Oh, thank you for the follow. He was a fairy. He was a fairy. But then he realized he wasn't running. It might be. It was a long way to Jeff's Pizza on foot, and Oswald knew he couldn't keep up with his pace all the way there. He slowed to walk after he was out of his neighborhood and chose to walk side streets instead of the more direct route, so he'd be harder to follow. He was afraid of Jeff's Pizza might be closed by the time he reached it, but when he arrived, hot and out of breath, the lighted open sign was still on. Instead, Jeff was on the counter, watching the ball game on TV, but otherwise the place was empty. You know, we just served the whole pizza at night, no slices, Jeff said, an unusual monotone. As always, he looked exhausted. Yeah, I just stopped by to get a soda to go, Oswald said, his gaze roaming the roped-off ball pit. Jeff looked a little puzzled, but finally said, "Okay, let me get a pie out the oven, then I'll get it for you. Orange, right? Right, thanks." As soon as Jeff disappeared into the kitchen, Oswald ran back to the corner and dove into the pit. The familiar musty smell filled his nose as he sank beneath the surface. Oh my gosh, another book! Oh my gosh, another book! He sat on the pit floor. He counted the 100 as he always did, and then even if he wasn't served any purpose to get him to make sure the jump to the Freddy Fazbear in 1985, he shifted on the pit floor and felt something solid press against his lower back. A shoe. It felt like a sole of a shoe. He scooted around and grabbed it. It was a boot. A steel-toed work boot like his dad used to wear working at the mill. And now to his job at Snack Space. He moved his hand a little. An ankle! In the kind of a thick boot, and his dad liked. He crawled further across the floor of the pit. The face. He had to feel the face. It wasn't some giant furry head like the yellow thing. He might never stop screaming, but he had to find it. His hand found his shoulder, and he reached to the chest and felt the cheap fabric of a white undershirt. He was shaken as he reached higher, and he felt an unmistakably human face, skin and supple, a man's face. Was it Dad? And was he had to be alive. He had to be. He has to be. He has to be alive. He has to be. Oswald had seen the shows where people had been in emergency situations, developed amazing strength, and found themselves able to lift front ends of cars or tractors. I think that only applies to moms. Oswald, are you a mom? This is some kind of strength that Oswald needed to find. His dad wasn't a big man, but he was still a man and weighed at least twice as much as his son. He had to move his dad if he was going to save him. "He's alive," said Frankenstein. "He's alive!" It was if this was even his dad. This wasn't some kind of cruel hoax to set up the yellow thing to trap him. Oswald couldn't let himself find these thoughts, not if it was going to do what he had to. He got behind the person, grabbed under the armpits and pulled. Nothing happened. Dead weight. Oswald thought, "No, not dead, please, not dead." He pulled again. Oswald is one of the most broken MCs ever. I mean, if I was just having a boring summer and then went back in time and then a yellow monster came home with me and non-stop act like my dad the whole entire time, I would be pretty traumatized too. I'd just like, "Oh, hey, this isn't right." He pulled again, this time more force, making a noise that was somewhere between a grunt and a roar. This time the body moved, and Oswald pulled again, standing up and getting the person's head and shoulders above the surface. It was his dad, pale and unconscious. Woo! Pale and unconscious! Sounds like ReZero to me. That's anime, isn't it? I believe it is. Because I think I wanted to watch it. ReZero. Because with the pink hair. Yeah! Yeah. The pink hair and the blue hair. Okay. It was his dad, pale and unconscious, but breathing. Definitely breathing. And around them, not Freddy Fazbear's in 1985, but the normal present-day weirdness of Jeff's Pizza. How could Oswald get him out? He could call Mom. As a nurse, she could know what to do, but what if she thought he was crazy or lying? He felt like the boy who cried wolf or the boy who cried rabbit. He... Thanks, Scott. He felt it before he saw it, the presence behind him, the awareness of something in his personal space before he could turn around. A pair of furry yellow arms locked around him in a fearsome embrace. He got his right arm free enough to jab his elbow in the yellow thing. Midsection, he got loose, but the thing was blocking the exit to the pit. He couldn't get out of the pit by himself, let alone with his poor passed out dad. Acting more than thinking, Oswald charged at the rabbit with his head down. If he could just throw it off balance or knock it under the surface, maybe he could just end up in like 1985, Freddy Fazbear. And by Oswald, and by Oswald and his dad some time to escape. His head butted the yellow thing and knocked it into the rope and netting that surrounded the ball pit. It stumbled a little, righted itself, and then the arm outreached, lunged towards Oswald. Oh shoot! Oh shoot! Wall break! Fourth wall break! No! With his head down, if he'd thrown off the balance or knocked into the undersurface, maybe it could have ended up. But I already read that. And lunged towards Oswald. It pushed Oswald against the wall of the pit. Its eyes are dead as always. It unhinged its choice to reveal a double rows of fangs as sharp as scimitars. Mouth open, freakishly wide. It lunged for Oswald's throat, but he blocked it with his arms. Pain pierced Oswald's forearm as the yellow thing sank its fangs into his skin. Oh gosh, I skipped some words sometimes. Oswald used his good arm to punch the rabbit hard in the face before the fangs pierced too deep. Fangs? What kind of crazy rabbit had fangs? The thing's jaws released the grip, but there was no time to survey the damage before the thing had lunged towards Oswald's dad, its jaws wide open like a snake about to swallow its unsuspecting prey. Its fangs were red with Oswald's blood. Oswald elbowed the yellow thing aside and moved between it and his dad, still unconscious father. You leave my dad alone. Buck teeth count as fangs? No? Yeah, I would say so. He yelled, then used the netting to bounce off the chamber into the yellow thing's back. He hit his head with his fist and scratched at its eyes, which didn't feel like a living creature's eyes. No. The rabbit stumbled back into the netting and ropes, then grabbed Oswald's arm and slung him hard off its shoulders into the pit. John Cena. I was going to have a song for you to listen to after your stream. It's called Unsung Hero. I'll put that down. Unsung Hero. Unsung Hero. If I can. There you go. Go out of nowhere. Nowhere. Out of nowhere. Yeah. By King and Country, yeah. I got that. Put it down and I'll listen to it. Oswald fell headfirst into the surface, graceful at the bottom of the pit was soft. His arm was throbbing. His whole body was exhausted, but he had to get up. He had to save his dad, like those ancient Greek heroes. Gabriella had told him about. He had to be brave and face the monster. Oswald rose unsteadily to his feet. Did you read out Ricko? Ricko. But you know what time it is. Water time. Ricko. Wah wah wah. Yeah, wah wah. Somehow, when it shook Oswald off, the yellow thing must have gotten tangled in the ropes and netting in the line of the ball pit. Very lucky of you, Oswald. A rope was looped around his neck, and he grasped the rope with his big paws, trying to get free. Oswald couldn't understand why it was failing to free itself, until he saw the yellow thing's feet weren't touching the floor of the pit. The yellow thing was suspended from the ropes, which was tied securely to a metal rod at the top of the ball pit. The rabbit had hung itself. Good job, Oswald! Oh, by the way, legendary Phil, thank you for the roses. Its mouth was opening and closing like it was gasping for air. For a breath. It should be for air, not breath. But no sound came out. Its paws clawed desperately at the rope. It stared, still terrifying in the blankness. Was aimed in Oswald's direction, if it was asking him for help. Oswald certainly wasn't going to rescue it. After a few more seconds of struggling, the yellow thing was still. Oswald blinked. Hanging from the rope was nothing but a dirty, empty, yellow rabbit costume. His dad's eyes open. Oswald rushed to his sides. I don't understand why I'm here, Dad said. His face was pale and unshaven, his eyes puffy and the dark moons under them. What happened? Oswald debated what to say. You were attacked and left for dead by a giant evil rabbit, and I totally left you too for dead, but you tried to replace you, and I was just like the only person who could see it wasn't you, and even Mom thought it was you, and she didn't believe me. She thought I was crazy. She looked at me and all that, but no, it sounded too crazy. And Oswald didn't relish the idea of spending the years in therapy saying that the evil rabbit was real. Jinx was the only member of the family who knew the truth, and being a cat, she wasn't going to say anything in his defense. Besides, his dad had already suffered enough. Oswald knew it was wrong to lie, but he also knew that lying was not a skill he had. When he tried, got all nervous and sweaty and said, a lot. But in this situation, a lie might be the only way forward. He took a deep breath. So, I hid in the ball pit to play a prank on you, which I shouldn't have done, and you came to look for me, and I guess you must have hit your head and lost consciousness. Oswald took a deep breath. I'm sorry, Dad. I didn't mean for things to get out of hand. This part, at least, was true. I accept your apology, son, Dad said. He didn't sound mad, but tired. But you're right. You shouldn't have done it. And Jeff really should get rid of the ball pit before he gets a lawsuit on his hands. Definitely, Oswald said. He knew he would never set foot in the ball pit again. He could miss Chip and Mike, but he needed to make some friends in his own time. His mind flashed to the girl on the bench at the recess, Gabriella. She seemed nice, smart too. They had a good talk. Oswald reached Dad's hand. Let me help you stand up, with Oswald steadying him. Dad rose to his feet and let his son lead the way to the exit of the ball pit. He paused to look up to the hanging yellow costume. What is that creepy thing? I have no idea, Oswald said. This, too, was the truth. They climbed out the pit and walked through Jeff's Pizza. Jeff was wiping the counter, still watching the baseball game. Restaurant TV. He had not seen or heard anything. Still holding Oswald's hand was the last time he and his dad had held hands. Dad lifted his son's arm and looked at it. You're bleeding. Yeah, Oswald said. I must have scraped my arm when I was trying to pull you out of the pit. His dad shook his head like I said. The thing in the public safety issue. Just stick up a sign that says keep out isn't enough. He let go of Oswald's arm. Well, let's get your arm cleaned up at the house, and then your mom can dress the wound once she gets home from work. Oswald wondered what his mom was going to say when she saw the fang marks. Yeah, she's going to know. That's part of a book? Dang, that was long. Man's yapping. Oh, yeah, definitely. Definitely. In this part where he's just like on and on and on and on. The whole highlighted part said it all of that. Truly it did. Oh, shoot. Oswald wondered what his mom would say when she saw the fang marks. Probably that they're fang marks. As they approached the front door, Oswald said, Dad, I know I can be a pain sometimes, but I really do love you, you know? Dad looked at him with an expression that seemed pleased and surprised. Same here, kiddo. He ruffled Oswald's hair. But you do have terrible taste in science fiction movies. Oh yeah, Oswald said, smiling. Well, you have a terrible taste in music, and you like boring ice cream. Together they opened the door with a fresh air. Behind them, Jeff called, Hey kid, you forgot your soda. To be beautiful. Oh. And that was the end. That is the very end of Into the Pit. That is like 42 pages that they're making into a full-length game. I cannot wait. It is on the 8th that is being released. Let's see here. Let's see here. We can actually test out that game I need to test out. So I'm gonna go ahead and boot it up. On your home, by the way. Okay, sounds good. Drive home safe. What the? Okay. Oh. Oh, it's lagging. Oh, it's lagging bad. Oh my gosh, it's lagging bad. Oh no, it's lagging so bad on my side. The game's working fine, but... Oh, yep, the stream. Okay. Yes. So this is definitely a game that we're gonna have to play on YouTube. I do plan to play it tomorrow then. I do plan to play it tomorrow. It is Joy of Creation demo. Um, I don't know anything about it, to be honest with you. So, yeah, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Um, huh. Yeah. So we'll play Into the Pit tomorrow. Hey. So what? He's just a man. Hey. Yeah. We'll put not play Into the Pit tomorrow. The Joy of Creation demo. We'll play that tomorrow. Um and then yo, guess what? What's up? Tell me what's up. They sent you some packages? No way, man. No way. What's in the packages? Gaming PC? What? What? But I already have a gaming PC. I just need to get better parts because they're like four, four, 3, 4 years old. Honorable mention. Honorable mention, yeah? I spent a lot on my PC. What makes this gaming PC so wonderful? Please do tell. So what, he's just a man? Please do tell. I'm quite curious. Make sure you have oil, a lot of oil, liters of oil. I just said I was lying. I don't know, man. Oil? I don't know, man. Quite scared where this is going. Where's this going? Hmm? Hmm? Okay, guys, so you guys are gonna do the homework, right? What did you learn? What did you learn? What did we learn from all of this? We learned, Into the Pit. Check your mirrors. I broke all of mine. I broke them all. That's why I have so much bad luck, because I broke them all. I was just stacking them all, like, stacking all the, like, the 7 years, just like, bam, 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 broken. I don't like the mirrors. I don't like them. Why? Why should I check the mirrors? There's nothing behind me. There's nothing behind me. No. Except the black abyss closet. That closet's just a black abyss. Let's see here. What's the specs needed for this game? Below, no. Store page. Specs. Specs. Where's the specs? No. I do want to do an Overcooked stream eventually. I want to get some people in and scream at each other for a bit. Sounds fun. I want to do a lot of streams. A lot of scary games, mostly. Because I got a lot of scary games I want to play. Oh, I do want to play Slime Rancher. I bought that like in 2023. Like last year I bought this like early in the year. And I'm like, oh, I'm gonna play this on stream, and I'm not gonna touch this game until I play it on stream, and I've not touched it. I've not touched it. What's the specs for this game? Let's see here. No, I don't want to hear the reviews. Oh. Oh, I think this could easily handle this game. What? Oh, easily, I think. I also really want to play the Stanley Parable. Because I bought that game a while ago, too. And I need to play it. I also have Stardew Valley. I wonder what the spec for this is. Maybe stream it. Oh, easily. Easily! I just need to get all the games that are easy. Not easy, but where my PC can handle streaming 3 times with. Because that's what I'm doing right now. I'm streaming 3 different times right now. It's fun. It's fun and dandy. Okay. Well, I will leave you guys for the night. I am not going to read, probably more of this book on stream. I'll probably just read it on my own time or something. Oh my gosh. I just noticed music has not been playing this whole entire time. Well, dang, someone should have told me. Man. Man. Okay. 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 I see how it is. I see how it is. Okay. Yeah. But I will leave you guys for the day, the night, the morning. Yeah. Don't really got much to say, but thank you for joining in. I'll see you guys another time. Oh, where's the end button? How do I end stream? How do I end stream?